today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends series Giantman figure wave. We're looking today at the Collect and Connect Build-A-Figure of Giantman. The Build-A-Figure Giantman consisted of 6 individual components, 2 legs, 2 arms, a torso, and a head, all from the 6 figures that we've had a look at over the series of these reviews. Now Giantman is fully assembled. Let's have a look at the figure. And I gotta say, the figure looked really good. So good, in fact, I wish there was a smaller version of this figure that was released by Marvel Legends. Now, we did get technically a movie tie-in Ant-Man, but if you remember, like, the mouth visor, or the mouth area of the mask, was not quite movie accurate. So it looked like Ant-Man, but not quite Ant-Man. So I kind of hoped we would have got this figure in a smaller scale, but really doesn't make any sense to have a 6-inch version of Ant-Man and then, you know, the much taller Giantman. We'll just have to appreciate the glory and splendor that this figure ends up being. The figure is, I think, a pretty faithful recreation to how he appears in the movie. A black, not quite gray, it's almost like a purpley gray color, and that cranberry burgundy red. He's got some silver accents around the wrist gauntlet areas, some silver trim that divides the red out from the black there, and of course he's got the more mechanical side belt area, and of course the helmet as well, which is a slight variation. It's more streamlined than the original Ant-Man suit. The only downside to a figure like this, or the only downside to the design of figures like this, is when you get to the realm of Hot Toys, you know, the Civil War Ant-Man is just basically right around the corner from the regular release Ant-Man. So, you know, it makes things hard as to which figure you want to collect. But Spot's getting away. He's getting off topic of looking at this great figure in hand. Now, I mentioned with the figure itself when we looked at Captain America that his visor, let's bring the camera up here so you can actually see once again, the visor has a very metallic look to it. Little accents of the blue there around the breathing apparatus of the front of his mask. But then there is a translucency to the red in his eyes, so you can see his human eyes underneath. A touch I really appreciate. Also to the fact that his outfit really isn't overly complicated by the stretch of looking at some of the other figures that we looked at. But like, I love that they put texturing. It seems to reside only more so in the red than in the black and this purple. But it's got this woven, kind of like honeycomb kind of stitch texture to it that just makes it pop. It doesn't just look like it's smooth fabric on everything. He has one open hand and one closed fist. They didn't really give him anything that you can hold on to. He's obviously too small to fit the scale of how he appears in the movie, because in the movie he's just literally giant. So he's a little bit smaller that you can't really have him pitted against the heroes. He is just a little bit, again, a little bit bigger than the heroes. Case in point, there he is next to Captain America. In the movie, he's, you know, much, much taller than this figure here. But they obviously didn't want to make the figure overly large, because then the prices would increase, or you might end up having, who knows, you might even have like a 12-figure release as a result, just to kind of get all the sections together for Giantman. But I do wish, though, that he would have come with some sort of accessories. You know, had he come with, not like it wouldn't have been super small, but maybe had he come with, you know, the airplane wing or something that you could have had him holding in hand. But unfortunately, again, he's got the closed fist, so that's really not going to help much there. And the partially open hand doesn't really hold anything, because he doesn't really have anything to hold on to. When it comes to his posability, Ant-Man's head is on a ball joint. It's also on a hinge joint as well. Hinge joint shoulders, which rotate all the way around. Swivel point in the bicep. Double hinged elbow. Rotation and hinge in the hand. He has the upper torso crunch, as well as a swiveled waist. Legs are on a nice ball joint. Thank goodness for ball joints. He has a mid or 3/4 cut on the thigh swivel. Double hinged knee. And finally, not only a rocking pivot on the ankle also moves up and down. For movie tie-ins, we don't really get a lot of big figures I mean, generally, when we've gotten movie tie-in figures, they still stay relatively the same height, like even like the Ultron, stayed relatively the same height as the other figures. This is one of those movie tie-ins that are bigger, a little more larger than the other scaled figures. I like that. I can't really think of many else that we would have in this larger scale, but I mean, certainly bring it on. If Hasbro can do more of these as tie-in movie characters, I'm all certainly on board for that. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the figures. Well, Spot tends to do this. We'll do like a top 3 of the figures, my favorite figures from this wave. And I kind of went back and forth as to which figure I really liked the most. And ultimately, I have to give that award to Black Panther here. He just does everything really well. And it goes to show that really a figure that's primarily black with a few little accents of silver can still end up being one of the better figures in this release. Next, I would probably go to the Mark 46. I mean, the suit itself doesn't sway that far off from some of the other Iron Man suits, but it still does enough to it. A nice updated change that I do like that figure. I think it turned out really, really well. And I guess really my other favorite, even though he's technically just a re-release, to some aspect, of course, my other favorite figure from this wave is Captain America. The comic other characters like Nuke and the Red Guardian were certainly great figures, but I think my favorite figures are these 3 right here, which, funny enough, these are all ultimately tie-in movie figures, so I kind of find that funny. Today's Toy Spot, though, we were wrapping up. We were doing one of 2 things. 3 things, hopefully. One thing I was entertaining to you guys, hopefully. But the other 2 things that we were doing is we were wrapping up our figure reviews of the Marvel Legends series Giantman wave, and we were also having a look at the Giantman Build-A-Figure from this wave, which ended up really being a great, great figure. Looking forward to putting this guy on display. Stay tuned, guys. Even though Spot's really wrapped up, we're done. Done in the sense of Marvel Legends series, there's definitely still more videos heading your way. As always, thanks for watching, as you always do. See you next time.